Breaking news overnight, 4 people are fighting for their lives after a 3-vehicle crash, also involving pedestrians. The Minnesota State Patrol says it started when one driver hit a deer on a highway in St. Louis County. 2 people were then checking on the ones in the car when that car was hit first by a pickup and then by an SUV. Now, one of the vehicles then crashed into those pedestrians. The pedestrians and the 2 people in the car were rushed to a Duluth hospital with life-threatening injuries. Their ages range from 21 to 91, and they're all from the Duluth area. Tensions were flying at the West Fargo School Board meeting last night when a group of parents and staff members were told they're not allowed to speak concerning the Return to Learn plan. The Valley Today's Brian Sherrod joins us live with more on what these parents wanted to say and why they're upset they weren't able to say it. Good morning, Brian.
And good morning, Jordan. The silence group is called CARE, and it stands for Community Alliance for Research and Engagement. And the reason they weren't able to talk was because they were saying that it was on the plan, but they're upset because they couldn't discuss what they originally came there to talk about. So they wanted to address concerns about returning to the classroom following Thanksgiving. They were given current status of COVID-19 in the region. Now, they came to Valley News Live for help when they were silenced at this meeting. They want to plead their cases about waiting to send students back to classroom following the holidays. They feel like this is the best safety practices for students, staff, and the community.
I just think 4 days is just crazy around the holidays. Just wait till we come back after Christmas break, even maybe 2 weeks after break, just to make sure that we get, we don't have any more spikes, because we can't, our medical system can't handle it.
Now, the guidelines for the meeting states that when you want to talk about a topic, it has to already be on the agenda, and the Return to Learn plan was not on the agenda. That's why they weren't able to talk about it. Now, the West Fargo superintendent was saying that she's also heard concerns from parents and staff about the COVID-19 pandemic, and CARE says even though they weren't able to talk last night about what they want to talk about, they're going to aim to do it at the next upcoming meeting.
All right, a lot going on in West Fargo. Brian Sherrod reporting live. Thank you very much. Meanwhile, Fargo school board members are expected today to narrow the list of names that it'll use to rebrand Woodrow Wilson School. More than 100 ideas were initially submitted, and the board meets tonight to plan to decide their 5 favorites. The district is renaming the school after concerns were raised about the 28th president's racist views and policies. It is a slick drive out there for some folks this morning. Oh, just a wet drive for others, but it could turn real nasty real quick. So we get a check of our forecast this morning with Lisa Green.
Yeah, and it's a matter of even just a couple of degrees difference. So if we watch those temperatures drop over the next hour by a degree or 2, that could lead to more slick spots. So bottom line is we want to treat the roads like they're slick everywhere here this morning because of this. Here's a look at where our winter weather advisory is in effect. It was issued this morning for these areas in blue. It includes Grand Forks and Fargo, surrounding areas there, and over to the east, especially for our viewers in Minnesota, where we've got some of our coldest temperatures in effect until noon. We've got freezing drizzle, we've got a little light rain, a mix, and some places even getting some light snow, up to an inch possible in some of those colder areas. And that could be falling on top of icy spots too. And check this out. We've got several DOT cams that are looking either quite wet or icy, and we're talking Rothsay, Thief River Falls, and Lake Park. And by the way, in the Lake Park to North Detroit Lakes area, there we go. We did have a viewer again report some icy roads. A semi-driver saying that vehicles are really going slow because of that in that region. Fargo, wet roads right now, but again, just a couple of degrees makes a huge difference, and that could change. So radar not detecting it very well, but we know that we have that drizzle out there. We have that light snow out there as well. And it is affecting a lot of us, especially along the Red River and east. West, over by Candu and Devil's Lake area and Langdon, we're talking fog for you, which is depositing on some of those roads, leading to some frost in that area. So slick for you for a different reason. And then over to the east, you could see lots of lower visibility. Basically, everybody in the valley reporting some type of moisture, reducing our visibility here. And so that could lead to slick areas. Again, Fargo, Grand Forks into the 30s right now. We're at 34 degrees, so just 2 above freezing at the airport. Could be different outside of town where, temperatures may be a little bit more on the chillier side. Those bridges, higher elevation spots are going to be first to freeze over. If you're over in the east, we already know we have slick roads in those areas. And there are some pockets elsewhere in eastern North Dakota where we're reporting some icy patches too. So out at the bus stop, make sure the kids are bundled up and covered up by some waterproof coats and hats and stuff, because we do have that rain out there. Temperatures kind of hold steady today. We do introduce some drying weather though into the afternoon and evening, and this will start this morning in the west and then continue eastward. But until then, it's going to be a tough go of it this morning. Fortunately, as you see behind me, the forecast gets better as we head toward the holiday. We start to dry out more and more both tomorrow and into Thanksgiving.
But take it slow on the roads this morning. Lisa Green, thank you very much. One teenager is accused of attempted murder after a brutal assault in Moorhead. 18-year-old Ashton Bellafuel is in jail on attempted murder and assault charges after police say 2 women were stabbed in the head and eyes last week. One victim says that she was forced to jump off the roof and the other took off running to save herself. Police say the attack happened just after 7 Thursday night in the 1900 block of 18th Avenue South. A neighbor says that she saw this nightmare unfold.
She was covered in blood. Her eyelid was cut open.
Was she saying anything?
Yeah, she was screaming, "Help me," and just help me pretty much the whole time. And I was in complete shock. It was like a zombie ran at me.
Police say the woman who jumped from the roof is still in the hospital and has since undergone 2 major surgeries. If convicted, Bellafuel could face more than 50 years in prison. A 32-year-old North Dakota man has been indicted on federal charges of having nearly 200 images of child pornography. Investigators say they found 191 images of minors on electronic devices owned by this guy, Bradwin Wymore of St. Anthony. They accuse him of setting up his phone in bathrooms and hotel rooms in Bismarck and Mandan and recording the minors and then distributing those images online. One man is dead after his car was hit by a semi on Highway 10 near Lake Park. State troopers say the 75-year-old pickup driver had stopped to cross the highway yesterday afternoon, then drove onto the highway and was hit by that semi. The victim's name is not yet released, but the State Patrol says he was from Lake Park. The semi driver was not hurt. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is calling a special session today to address a relief plan for small businesses and the hospitality industry in the state. He says the plan will include sales tax mitigation. Small businesses in the hospitality industry have struggled immensely in Minnesota since this pandemic started. And Minnesota officials are also urging people to download an app that will notify them if someone who has been near them later tests positive for the coronavirus. The app also allows them to warn others anonymously if they test positive themselves. Officials stress that participation is voluntary and that the system contains ample privacy safeguards. Now, you can also turn on exposure notifications by going into your phone settings and then click on Turn on Exposure Notifications. U.S. Air Force nurses are on the ground in North Dakota preparing to fan out to help with the state's COVID-19 fight. 60 nurses and other medical personnel will soon be stationed at various hospitals across the state. The relief effort comes through FEMA. North Dakota recently recorded the world's highest COVID-19 mortality rate. And this comes as contact tracing is all but eliminated in North Dakota because officials say there are just too many cases. The Dakotas are among the worst in the nation for per capita deaths and hospitalizations. One of the few contract tracers left in North Dakota gave us this perspective of what her job is like. Now, she says that it's very difficult for them to complete, but they will stay true to their focus, trying to stop that spread.
It's pretty stressful. You know, there's good days and bad days. It's a little bit disheartening to see how the cases continue to increase, and unfortunately, we aren't quite seeing the behavior change that we would hope for. I think that people need to remember that every one of these numbers is a person, and somebody loves that person, and they're grieving and mourning for them.
In our consumer alert this morning, General Motors is recalling 5.9 million vehicles for an airbag issue. The recall includes some Cadillac Escalade, Chevy Silverado, Chevy Suburban, Chevy Tahoe, GMC Sierra, and GMC Yukon vehicles built over an 8-year period from 2007 to 2014. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration officials say the inflators are at risk of the same type of explosion after long-term exposure to high heat and humidity as other recalled Takata airbag inflators. Let's get the answer now to our question of the morning on Facebook. Today's question, a new survey asked people what they're buying themselves for Christmas, and this came in at number 6 on the list of what people said they were going to buy. The answer, I'm surprised it's not a little higher. I think we all like to have this. The answer is chocolate. Go treat yourself to a little chocolate. The Today Show and CBS This Morning are just about to start, but the Valley Today, it rolls on. We'll have more live up-to-the-minute news and weather coming up right now on the Fargo CW. Lisa Green will be back in as she tracks that winter weather advisory in effect right now for much of the region. We'll join you on the CW.